What is going on, guys? Crucible here. Today we're going to be going over the yellow reveals, as well as kind of break down what the Majin Buu leader is kind of doing. I'm a little late to getting to some of these breakdowns and stuff. Work's been a little crazy, but here I am, and I'm going to start shelling out all these color archetype breakdown videos over the course of the next week or so. Not everything's been revealed yet. So in terms of what the full package is kind of looking like, we won't really know until after probably the alt arts are finished revealed, which is what the Fusion World social pages are kind of going through right now. But until then, we kind of have to deal with what we got to deal with. So let's kind of get into it. So we got Majin Buu is the yellow leader for set 3. He's not doing anything crazy on his front side, but it is a bobbity, which is thematic. It's very thematic. So he's 20k power. When he attacks, he draws. And then at the end of your turn, play up to 1 battle card with a cost of 2 or less, and Wicked Soul or Evil Wizard in their special traits from their hand. I mean, this has the potential to be pretty good. It is really going to be dependent on what 2-drops you're going to be playing. From what we've, spoiler alert, from what we've kind of been teased with so far already, the 2-drops aren't really doing anything too crazy. They're not like anything to write home about. And some of their effects are a little underwhelming when it comes to when you're going to actually be playing these 2 costs down on the board with Majin Buu's ability. I think this has potential. It really is just going to be dependent on what else is going to get revealed this set. But we'll just have to wait and see, honestly. But, I mean, this type of ability, if it plays more on the defensive side than not on the defensive side, I can kind of see the utility in this, but it really, like I said, it's gonna depend. Oh, wrong way. But we'll start off with the SRs that kind of got announced for yellow. So this was a big there was a lot of contention when it came to this card. Majin Buu, 3 costs, 25k power, 0 combo with barrier. Barrier, if you do not know, in Masters, I believe it came out around the same time in Masters, in set 3 or 4 of Masters. Barrier is a game stopper. This is a card that cannot be interacted with whatsoever. If an effect on a card specifically says to choose the card, this card cannot be an option to pick. So this can't be bottom decked. It can't be sent back to hand. It cannot be KO'd. It can't be minused in red. It can't be ramped into green. Like, you can't force it to rest. You can't choose it to rest. You can't choose it to lock it in place. Like, this guy is just there. He doesn't leave at any point ever. Which, if you couple that, I mean, he's a 25k body. So, I mean, considering the only way you have in terms of removing this guy is through battle, he's not the hardest thing to get over. The problem comes from his when KO'd effect. Where you discard 1 card from your hand, and then you can play this card from your drop in rest mode. Basically doing what the 4-cost Zamasu is doing in blue. But you can just do this infinitely. So it really becomes a matter of how important is this card going to be in your opponent's board, and how often do they want to be paying that cost. Yellow doesn't really hurt when it comes to drawing, especially if you play yellow correctly. So this ability could be kind of tiresome, but who knows? Maybe there's other stuff that's going to get announced with some of the other colors and whatnot that can actually kind of get around barrier. Maybe there's some anti-barrier mechanics. We'll have to see. Then we have 4-cost Majin Vegeta, 25k power, 5k combo, where activate main once per turn, choose up to 1 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 3 or less and KO it, then switch this card to active. This is a good card. I like this card. I like yellow, and there's other options here in this breakdown that we're going to go over, that basically kind of, like, yellow has always been very needing of, like, hard removal in the game. Has always needed real hard removal. And the effects that this is actually kind of doing, like, it is exactly what you want. He's basically double swinging. He's a dual attacker at 25,000. He provides combo power, so he's not hurting in your hand to keep him in there, and he can remove something off board. So I mean, this is something that yellow just needed outright, and honestly, it's very fitting that it's Majin Vegeta, and I think a lot of people are going to be very excited. All right, so let's get into some of the 2 costs. Some of the 2 cost options. We got Dabura, who's 20k power, 5k combo, who's a blocker. When he blocks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 2 or less and switch it to rest mode. This isn't the worst 2-drop that they could have dropped. Considering that his ability is for when he's blocking, plays into the defensive aspect of when you're actually kind of playing this. It's at the end of your turn that Majin Buu leader's effect's going to go through. So having this type of defensive utility is actually great. The problem stems from the fact that it's a 2 cost, it's a 20k power, who's a blocker. Like, when it comes to, like, blue can minus this, no problem. Or not blue. Red can minus this, no problem. Blue can bounce this, no problem. Green has no problems removing this off board. Yellow can play stuff to rest this, and you can't use its effect. So it stems from just, like, he does what you kind of want him to do, but he's too easy to get around. And you're going to see a trend with all the other 2-drops that have kind of been revealed in that regard. Then we got Spopovich, 20k power, 5k combo. Where on play, choose up to one of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 1 or less and KO it. Again, he's just okay. Like, a 1 cost that late in the game, you're not going to see many 1 costs getting played unless it's blue in the late game. Obviously with peel-offs and stuff like that. It just kind of is what it is. It's very weak. So more than likely, this guy's just going to be a 20k swinger, which, once again, 20ks are really easy to get around. 2 costs are really easy to get around. So it's not like anything too crazy to kind of talk about. Then we got Pui Pui. Again, he's 15k power, 10k combo, which 10k combo for yellow is good. They need more 10k combo stuff. He's a blocker. Again, easy to get around. Then on play, choose up to 1 field with a cost of 2 or less in your opponent's battle area and place it in the owner's drop. This is a good effect. The only problem with this card is that the only field cards that it's actually interacting with is TOP Arena, which I would make the argument that in this set currently, TOP Arena is not really getting much play. You see it on occasion, but it's not like a staple in red decks. You're not going to see it too often. And then the other option is Orange City High School, Orange High in blue, which is also releasing this set, but I don't know the utility. It'll probably be good in the blue leader for set 3, like, no matter what. But the card itself is not great because, like, you pitch it. Like, I'm not 100%. I'm not sold on Orange High. So it really is just going to kind of be dependent on how good Orange High is going to be. But I mean, green, it's not affecting any of the green field cards, which is unfortunate because I feel like at the very least it should interact with Jiro's lab or something. But none of the field cards in green are hit, and yellow doesn't even have a field card in play yet. So again, it's just the effect is kind of subpar, and his stat line isn't great. It's easy to get around again. Blocker. It just seems to me like Bandai is really looking at yellow and seeing what blockers, like they look at blocker specifically, and they're putting a lot of stock in blocker, when the reality is that blocker is really not all that hard to get around anymore. It's real, like it's a secondary effect where you might get some play on it if you can get around what your opponent's playing, or if your opponent doesn't play around it optimally. But I don't know. Maybe there's probably some other 2 costs that are going to come with the set. We'll kind of have to wait and see what else kind of gets revealed. But all these 2 costs are relatively subpar in my opinion, personally. Then we get into the extra cards. We got 2 costs. Activate main. Switch one of your Bobbity battle cards to rest mode. Choose up to 2 of your battle costs with costs of 4 or less and Wicked Soul in their special traits, and switch them to active mode. Real quick, I just want to look at... Yes. Okay. So this works on the Vegeta. It works on all your 2 costs. It doesn't work on the Buu, which I mean, I guess makes sense because Fat Buu, I guess, really isn't a wicked soul. He was just kind of manipulated. But, I mean, you got some options with this card. It's not a bad card. I think having the option to kind of put stuff back in active to kind of protect your board, especially in this deck specifically, I think is very important. That said, too, like, it specifically mentions Bobbity being the battle card you put into rest mode, and we haven't seen what this Bobbity is. So I'm not 100% sure how viable the Bobbity is going to be. It's probably a 1 cost that you play probably on turn 1, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see. It's not a bad card, though. And then finally, we got Final Explosion, 3 cost, where activate main, choose all of your opponent's battle cards with a cost of 3 or less, switch them to rest mode, then choose up to 2 of your opponent's rest mode battle cards with a cost of 4 or less and KO it. This is the extra card that Yellow desperately needed for hard removal. Now, the first part of this effect, you're not always going to be able to get off, depending on what you're playing up against. Like, you're probably not seeing the first effect going off against green a whole lot. However, if you're able to get that first effect to go off, that's really strong, because then you can kill 2 of the stuff that's on your opponent's boards with ease. Because the cost at which you're KOing the battle cards is actually 1 higher than what the first effect is going off with. So I think this is a real solid card. It's hard removal that's a pseudo board wipe that can really come in handy for Yellow. And I think it's going to become really handy in Majin Buu specifically. We'll have to see what it kind of does with some of these other decks. Maybe it works with Frieza, but we'll have to see. But that's going to really do it, guys. That's going to do it for this. All the reveals for Yellow so far, at least all the big time reveals. So let me know what you guys think. I can't speak. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're pushing towards 200 by the end of the summer, at the end of August. So we greatly appreciate all the love and support that you can give us there. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Peace.